You are Locked On Mavericks Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Dallas, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
For a team with 6 players that were out with injuries, the worst team in the NBA is exactly what the doctor ordered, and the Mavs did exactly what they needed to do and what they were supposed to do, routing the Wiz tonight, 130 to 108. Here we go. Welcome into the Mavs Postcast, your team every day, or in our case, your team every game. My name is Jeff Biggs. Thank you for hanging with me tonight. Want to hear from you via the comment crew. Want to get your thoughts, get your input. Lots to get into tonight. Thank you for watching Locked On Sports Dallas, your destination after every single game. You can also find us on the Locked On Mavs podcast feed as well. How about Mark Followell giving Nick Angstead a nice shout out during the game today? That was very cool and very, very much deserved for Nick and the crew and all the great work that Nick does with the Locked On Mavs podcast. But this is the Postcast, brought to you tonight by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. And coming up as we get started on this episode tonight, we're going to talk all about the Mavs' big bounce back win. Daniel Gafford facing his former team again. Nice season high bounce back game from Omax. Remember, I mentioned last game that he was kind of struggling a little bit. We'll get into that. And we'll look ahead to the Mavs' upcoming 5-game road trip, their longest road trip of the season. But got to start here with the Bigs takeaway. The shorthanded Mavs, they needed a rescue. They needed some help with their offense. A lot of good drives to the basket, but that game against the Celtics, they needed to run their offense. They needed to do more. And they sent out a Klay day, and Klay Thompson responded and set the tone with 7 3-pointers in the first quarter, and that really set the course, no pun intended, for the game. And the Mavs went on to win it 130 to 108. They led by 38 at one point. I mean, this game wasn't even competitive, and we're going to focus on the Mavs, but man, you see why the Wiz have the worst record in the NBA and why they've lost 14 in a row. I mean, it's tough to see a team play so poorly at the NBA level. But that's another topic for another show. But how about Klay Thompson? 7 threes, 21 points, had a couple, for all the issues that we've had with replays, and I mean, they're going back to New Orleans Thursday. Remember, they had that missed goaltending call, horrible call. We're still, unless I missed it, I don't think there's been any suspension or discipline at all for Lou Dort after that Gafford groin grab last week. But with all that said, the refs, not once, but twice in the first quarter, switched a couple of Klay 2s to 3s to give him 7. But that was great. Just a great start. The Mavs were up after the first quarter 42 to 16. I mean, they just blew it open. I mean, what do you do when you have, a tough loss at home to the Celtics? You're banged up, you're shorthanded, your final game before you go on the road. You come out and you drop a 42 in the first quarter against the Wiz, and that's exactly what they did. 42 to 16 in that first quarter, led by 26. Omax had a nice in that first quarter, not only a corner 2, but he also had a really nice corner 3 on the way to his big night. And I was thinking about it because some of you, I don't know, I know we have a different age group, but some of you may have forgotten. I don't know if it was mentioned during the game, but Klay was 2015, January 23rd of 2015. Klay set the NBA record with 37 points in one quarter, in the third quarter. Remember that? He scored 37 against Sacramento at the old Oracle Arena for the Warriors, and he had 9 threes in that quarter in the win for Sacramento. So, we talked about this the last game after the Celtics loss, and I give credit to Bob Myers for making the comment. Kind of it echoed what I've kind of said in my own way over the course of the season, but he said it a lot better than I did. And that was that, there's a lot of guys that can play with house money during the regular season. They can put some big, nice 3-point numbers. But when you get to the playoffs, right, and the big shots are on the line, all right, there's certain guys that make them in the playoffs and in the postseason when it counts. And Klay is one of those guys. This weekend, this Sunday, I'm working a college basketball game with one of the best shooters ever, Robert Horry. And I mean, he was that same kind of guy. I mean, he would knock down threes, like to say the least. And that's, again, another topic for another time. But good to see. Look, they needed to get my criticism after the Celtics game over the weekend was just that I love the energy. I love the effort. The Mavs were driving. They made a point. They wanted to attack the rim, and they didn't want to settle. They wanted to drive. They wanted to attack, and that's great. But I think there were moments in that game where it was just too much. They needed to slow it down a little bit. They needed to run the offense a little bit more, and we didn't see that. And I felt like they did that tonight across the board. I mean, they looked like a unit. They looked like a five-player group. The way that they were running their offense, they still crashed. They still played with intensity, rebounding. Still went to Gafford. Still drove, but they also moved the ball around. I mean, look at the assists tonight for the Mavs as a team. 39 assists. That's a lot. I mean, that's good. That's good selection. That's good ball movement. That's good, just good thought process, good playmaking. So I know it's against the Wiz. I know they're not great, but the Mavs still had to do what they had to do, and I thought they did it very well in this game tonight. So 42 points after the first quarter. Klay, 7 threes. I mean, just perfect start for him. The second quarter, that's when the Mavs went up by 38 at one point. It was 73-43 at halftime. That was the 9th largest halftime lead in Mavs history. Klay had the 23. PJ Washington had 15 points and 7 rebounds. Gafford had 9 and 7. And Omax had 11 off the bench, with the Mavs knocking down 13 three-pointers, 13 out of 26 with 23 assists. So that was just a great way to start, great way to keep it going. Yeah, the Wiz did win the third quarter barely, 33-28, and they won the fourth a little bit as well, 32-29. But the Mavs still win it 130-108. And we got to see a couple things. One, we saw Markieff Morris get in there. He played 12 minutes, had a basket. And we saw the NBA debut for Kyler Kelly, who I'm going to talk more about a little bit later on in the show. But I thought Klay set the tone. I thought Spencer Dinwiddie, all right, very quietly, didn't have a monster game, but just his presence, he had 6 points, right? So you think, well, what's the big deal? But he had 9 assists. And I think he had 5 of the assists for Klay in the first quarter. So, I give him credit because, again, I've said this multiple times. One thing I love about this Mavs team is in a situation like this, when you have multiple injuries and you have a bunch of guys out, it's very easy, right? Or would be very easy or very tempting to kind of want to play hero ball. Like, well, hey, Luka's out, Lively's out, so this is my shot, man. This is my chance. I can show them what I can do, or I can, I can get some good minutes and try to score and try to get my stats up and maybe get more whatever. And what I love about this team is they don't play like that. They don't. There's nobody. They're not me guys on this team. They're a real team and they play like that. And you can't fake that. Either you are or you're not. Either you're a team player or you're a selfish player. I mean, you get to that level, your true colors come out. And so my point is I thought Dinwiddie did a really good job of not only, the cliche going with the flow, but I mean, really, he knew that Klay was hot. He knew that they needed to kind of get some guys going, kind of get the offense running, not just driving, but running. And he was a big part of that. Daniel Gafford facing his former team. We're going to talk more about that. PJ Washington just missed a double-double, ended up with 19 points and 9 rebounds, also had 3 assists and a couple of steals. And Kyrie Irving, very quiet, 13 for Kyrie in 28 minutes, though. They kept him below 30 minutes. They'll be able to keep him fresh. And what I like about this upcoming road trip is that the Mavs don't have a back-to-back on the road trip. They play every other day, which is still tough, but not a back-to-back. So hopefully that will help. But just a good win across the board. Like the way they started, like the way they set the tone, the energy, the focus. We'll talk more about Omax here coming up in a bit, but a big win tonight for the Mavs. They get it done 130-108. We got a lot of comments from the comment crew. When we come back, I promise we're going to get into all of those. I see those right now. Hang with me. You're listening to the Mavs postcast on a Monday night as the Mavs get a big win over Washington tonight, 130-108, the final on the Mavs postcast. All right, we got to tell you about what's going on now with FanDuel because Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved. I mean, it's a real nice personal touch. And no matter what happens on the field, the app is really easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, I mean, that is the icing on the cake for sure. So download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, welcome back to the Mavs postcast. Mavs win big over the Wiz, 130-108. Quick note before I get to the comments about Omax. I made a point after the Celtics game, a couple games in a row where he was under the basket, went baseline, and tried to get up, and I think he got rejected or turned the ball over. It just didn't. He didn't look comfortable, and he had a couple of those tonight that were beautiful, beautiful. I think one was a reverse layup, one was a near dunk. In addition to the first quarter when he knocked down the corner two, and where he knocked down the three. So good bounce back game for Omax. Tied, I think it tied his career high with 20 tonight off the bench. But you can see the skill set, you can see the way that he plays, and he has talent. He just needs minutes, he needs opportunity, and needs some encouragement to kind of get his game cranked up into a different level. But I thought it was a great bounce back game tonight from Omax, and good help and teaching by the coaching staff as well. All right, we got a couple of people chiming in. We got Abraham getting in. Abraham, did anyone else think that Klay was trying to break his quarter record for a second there? Well, I mean, he after 7, remember, I think he missed one, and then that was the only shot that he had before the quarter ended, or before they pulled him in the first quarter. But I mean, he was open and the shots were coming, so I think you got to do that. Grayson Ackerley, the Wizards aren't an NBA team. Hard to dispute that, Grayson. You know, I try so hard to. I don't want to be the old man, get off my lawn guy. All right, I see what a bad look that is, and I really try not to do that. But man, I mean, you see this in baseball too. When it just seems like today more than ever, like when teams are bad, I mean, they're really bad. Like the bad back in the day was not this bad. That's the best way I can say it. I mean, they're really bad. Reader's Digest. See, I told, now this is what I'm talking about. Like, if you want to jump in and be a part of the comment crew, but you don't want to use your real name, or you want to use an alias, hey, I don't care. You can call it whatever you want, man. I want you guys to jump in, want you guys to be a part of the show. That's what's most important. This all gets taken down right after the show ends anyway. We're not looking to track you down or sell you anything. We're doing these live because we want to interact. We want you to be a part of the show. Nick and the crew, they do an outstanding job with the Mavs coverage, and we're adding to that. We're just a part of that. We're riding their wave, but we want these live for you to be a part of it. Feel bad for Kyler, barely got off the plane. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, this guy, Kyler Kelly, ended up 1.8 minutes, ended up with 4 rebounds. All right. And a couple of fouls, but I like the way he looked. I like the way, liked his size, liked his body, liked the way he carried himself. And hey, let me tell you, somebody I know firsthand, what it takes, how you have to fight, and going through adversity. That's my language. And so I have all the respect. I mean, you heard, if you were watching the broadcast, if you weren't at the game, you heard Mark Followell talk about just his journey and his path to get to the NBA. And I have a lot of respect, for guys that work hard like that. They don't give up. They play anywhere. I mean, he guy's been all over the place. NBA debut tonight, waiting. I mean, think about that. Think about, you have how many years was it? How many seasons where he was the G League Defensive Player in the Year? You would think after, a couple of seasons like that, somebody would give him at least a look or an opportunity, and it didn't happen. And he finally got his first shot to play with the Mavs, play in the NBA tonight. And good for him, man. I hope it works out for him. And just judging by the way he looked, I mean, I don't see why he should not be able to help. With playing every other game, they should be able to practice a little bit on this road trip, the Mavs. And hey, if they can get him working up to speed and he can grow and get comfortable. I mean, obviously, everywhere that he's played and all the different teams that he's been a part of, he knows the game. He knows what a big needs to do to play. So I'm rooting for him, man. I hope something works out here and he gets a really good look and a good opportunity and is able to make the most of it. Abraham chimes in. As soon as I saw Markeith going in, it was time to tune out. Poor Markeith. 130 to 118. That was bad. Yes, Grayson got in there. Again, Grayson was hoping to see more from the new guy. Least pressure game he's going to get. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Be curious because the Pelicans are a little bit bigger and they it's kind of an issue in that tough loss. What was it, last week or the week before? So we'll see. We'll see if he gets any run in that second game tomorrow night. All right. Hey, guys, thanks for jumping in. If you have any more thoughts or if anybody else wants to get in, we have one final segment coming up. Look, I know it's the Wiz, but considering the losses and, we talk about this every game, but it's just so painful to be reminded that, I mean, the Mavs were playing the best basketball in the NBA from mid-November to mid-December, right? I mean, they were absolutely balling, and they have since Luka's injury, they've gone 6-12. I mean, that's tough, man. That's just a lot of losses, and nobody likes losing. It's tough, and that this team is better. And what's even more frustrating is a good chunk of the 12 losses were close. I mean, it's not like the Mavs, have gone 6-12 and they've been getting blown out or run off the floor. I mean, they've pretty much been in every game, and they've fought hard to the end of most of these games and have just come up short. And so you just hope that the blessing in disguise is that all of this opportunity, all of these minutes for the other guys that are playing right now, when Luka comes back, there'll be a domino effect, and with Luka and Kyrie, they'll have enough time together to kind of reconnect and then, bring everybody else along for the ride with them, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we got a couple weeks here. The Mavs continue they haven't changed the narrative that Luka is going to get back before the All-Star break, which is in a few weeks. So hopefully that will be the case, a little over 2 weeks. All right, our final timeout. When we come back, we will wrap things up. This is the Mavs postcast on a Monday, 130 to 108. The Mavs beat the Wiz. All right, we're actually just doing a quick hit here, and we're getting right back to it. All right, there we go. 130 to 108, our final segment. Let's see what else. We got some more comments. Got Abraham. Hey, been enjoying listening to the postcast as a podcast, but glad I jumped on live. Thanks for the show. Abraham, thank you, my man. Thank you for jumping in. And again, Nick, I know Nick and his crew, they're going to be doing their thing coming up here in just a bit. And of course, they're with you every day with the very latest on injuries and trades and everything you need to know. I mean, there's a reason why they have the following that they have, because Nick has put in the work and does a great job. And like I say all the time, I mean, without a doubt, that is the best Mavs coverage you'll find anywhere. And so this is just more of we talk about the game, talk about what happened. We're live, and we want you to be a part of it. And we're just kind of a little bridge, and then you can get right back with Nick and the crew when they do their thing. Third quarter, the Mavs were up 101-76. Again, Omax with the season high. And I was thinking back, I looked back when the Mavs won the first meeting between the two in Washington. That was on December the 5th. The Mavs won that game 137-101. So they won by 36 that night. They won tonight by 22? Am I doing my math right? Yeah, 22. They were up by 38 in the second quarter. But a painful reminder in that game in DC, Luka had a triple-double. Daniel Gafford in that game last month had 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Tonight, Gafford had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 blocks. So he was better across the board in this game tonight, facing his former team. PJ with 19, Gafford with 18, Kyrie with 13, Klay with 23. I mean, Klay had 23 at the half and didn't get the score again in the second half. That's okay. I mean, they pulled them early. They didn't. That was by design. And then Omax had 20 off the bench, season high for him. Very quiet 12 off the bench for Jaden Hardy. Didn't even seem like he was out there much. He played 13 minutes. He's still on that minutes restriction because of the ankle issue. But good to see him going again. Brandon Williams got in there. Quentin Grimes knocked down a few threes, ended up with 9 points. So all 3 of his baskets were 3-pointers. Kessler Edwards had a very quiet 7. And then Markeith had the 1 basket for 2 points. Rebounding tonight, the Mavs ended up out-rebounding the Wiz 51-45. Again, they had the 39 assists and the turnovers tonight. I think the Mavs only had 2 at halftime. They ended up with 11, which is kind of, could have been better. Both teams had 11, but I'm not gonna harp on that. 5 steals each, and those are the numbers that you need to know. But good 3-point shooting tonight. The Mavs 20 of 45. So we were talking last game about how the Celtics put up 52 threes in their win on Saturday. Well, the Mavs come back and ended up with 45 tonight. They only went to the free throw line 17 times, but the game was so out of hand. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the term getaway game. It's a thing. It's a phrase in baseball. Like you'll see that sometime the final game of spring training. You'll see teams that'll just fly through the game because they want to leave and they want to go home. They want to leave Arizona. They want to leave Florida and just get out. They're done. They're ready to break camp. Or you'll see a couple teams playing a day game on a Thursday and they want to get out of there and go on to their weekend series, whatever. Well, I mean, this one felt like a getaway game. It just, I think it was under 2 hours, not counting halftime. And again, the way that the Mavs started the game and just blew it open, it was never a contest at all. It was over, like pretty quick. All right, well, that is going to do it for us tonight. We're going to be back with you, though, on Wednesday night. We're going to be back with you after the Mavs play the Pelicans again in New Orleans. A little payback after the loss there the last time out. Looking forward to that. Hope you'll be able to join me after that game, and we're going to be with you again after all the games on the road trip, all 5. The Mavs are going to head out for their longest road trip of the season. Hopefully, we'll see. I mean, if there's a way that Luka could come back on this road trip and kind of get that whole process going of getting everybody back. That would be great. We'll see. Stay tuned for that. But I think long road trips are always, even though, again, I've been critical of the scheduling this year because the Mavs have had such a weird, so many one-game road trips. It's been really weird. But hopefully this will be a good trip and guys will be able to bond and get even better, get better chemistry, and no injuries. No injury. No more injuries. No more injuries on this trip. So anyway, our final tonight, 130 to 108. The Mavs whip the whiz. Thank you for joining us on the Mavs postcast. We'll be with you after the Pelicans game. Have a great night. And this has been the Mavs postcast.